Well, welcome back again, and I'm still firing more or less on all 6 cylinders. Halloween again, doesn't seem 5 minutes ago since the last one. Well, some funny things have been going on here. Last night, I got up to go to the loo, as you do when you get to a certain age, and saw a black cat go rushing past. Now, the only thing is, it wasn't our cat, because our cat, Mr. Pud, was curled up asleep on the bed. That cat is Millicent's cat, who was the maid here, come housekeeper, many, many years ago. And occasionally you smell pipe smoke, pipe tobacco, and that is Mr. Lenister, whose house this was when it was new. Over by the rose bush outside in the garden, I've seen Mrs. Lenister very, very briefly. That's the thing, you turn and look because you know you're being watched, and you see it just for a split second and then they fade away. But I've been seeing strange things for a while, to be honest. First became aware of it down in Cornwall at the caravan park, and looking up towards the horizon. It was a beautiful summer evening and the sun's going down. It really was a lovely sight to behold. I saw 3 airmen walking along. Now, the caravan park was an airbase during World War II, and was bought in 1958, I think, when it was all finally decommissioned and made into a caravan park. You could see that it had been an airbase because the concrete rights of way in some places were very, very wide, much wider than is necessary for a road-borne vehicle. And of course, that was the runway. Yes. The lady in the shop there said that when they moved the old Coca-Cola machine out to get it repaired by the serviceman one day, she noticed that the plaster in the wall had a bit of a dimple in it, and she could dimly make out where a door had been. And she told me that that explained a lot to her, because, again, out of the corner of her eye, she'd seen a woman officer walk straight through the Coke machine and straight through the wall, and that was that. All very odd indeed. Now, on the railway we had our fair share of strange things going on. I think I may have already told you of the shunt we did once over at Orr, and there's nobody on the train, and we've been through, shut all the windows because it was this time of the year, it was cold. And as I'm waiting for the signal to proceed back into Orr platform and away to Eastbourne and round to Brighton, it becomes apparent that there's somebody in the train, because you could feel the car bouncing slightly. I immediately buzzed up my conductor, old Bill Lossop, and got him straight away, so it wasn't him. And we're sure nobody was on there. And when we checked the train, we walked from one end to the other, we found that all the internal doors that we closed were open, pretty much. So heaven knows who that was. But a taxi driver told me an interesting story about one of the outstations round here. Years and years ago, he had a young girl, obviously very, very tired, get off the last diesel down, and he knew where she lived, so she didn't say a lot when she got into the taxi, and away they went to her parents' house up in a place called Ashburn, miles from anywhere. It is very, very remote, really, about as remote as you can get in this densely populated southeastern corner of England. And when he got there, she wasn't saying anything, and well, she must have fallen asleep. So he goes and knocks at the door, and the girl's parents came, and he said, "Oh, I've got your daughter in the back of my taxi, you know. She's just come off the last train down. I picked her up." And they said, "You couldn't have had our daughter in your taxi because she was killed in the Hither Green train derailment of around about 1967, I think it was, when a 12-car formation of Hastings Line narrow-bodied diesels was derailed because of a defect in the track, and it caused absolute carnage, I can tell you. So that was all very strange, and she had been seen at intervals down the years by various people, including crews. But strangely enough, when the 1066 electrics came and the line was electrified, she hasn't been seen since. So that is one residual ghost that has finally been laid to rest by the look of it. All very strange indeed. Now, once here, when I was doing an overhaul on an old reel-to-reel tape recorder, I kept hearing voices, and no, I'm not due to go to the local loony bin just yet. They only let me out on Thursdays, by the way, and kept hearing these voices, and it became apparent that they were coming through the speaker of the reel-to-reel. Well, the only thing was the reel-to-reel machine was stopped. The power was on, but it was stopped. The tape was not moving. Now, I don't know about you, but that doesn't seem right at all, because the switching inside the machine was arranged in such a way that it muted the head unless the playhead was in playback or recording mode. In other words, the amplifier was disconnected from its source when the machine was at idle. Very, very strange indeed. When I took it back to its owner, she said, "You look a bit puzzled about something," and well, I told her the story. I thought, well, it won't do to tell her, I suppose. And she said, "Oh, yes, that will be my Norman, yes. Yes, it was his tape recorder, and he was ever so proud of it. And if he could have taken it with him when he passed away, he would have done." And it was a man's voice, all right, very, very faint, just loud enough to hear that it was somebody speaking, but not distinct enough to hear what they were saying. And you often hear that in this building too, the strange sounds at night. And for some reason, our cat won't be anywhere else except with us at night, because he gets spooked by something, and I don't know what it is. If it's the Lannisters, he's certainly got nothing to worry about there. So there you have it, a few spooky things for Halloween. And as they say, don't have nightmares. Oh, 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 oh.